are doing part 6 of the Blu-ray collection overview, which just seems to go on and on and on because I can't help but talk about these movies in detail. So that's kind of the way it goes on this channel. All right, we're going to jump right into the comedy today. Ooh, there's a spider up there. Spider-Man, Spider-Man. Here we've got the comedy section, which encompasses a lot of different types of comedy. Romance comedy, slapstick comedy, stupid humor, all that good stuff, even drama comedy. And that is almost 3 shelves worth of comedy films. So we are going to jump right in. Before we do, I just want to say if you enjoy these live streams, I plan on doing a few a week. Feel free to give the stream a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed yet, feel free to do that and hit the little bell for notifications so you can be notified as to when I go live. I'm going to be coming up with a more stringent schedule in the near future, even though I've been sticking to around 4 o'clock during some of the weekdays. What's up, Lucy? Thank you for stopping in. And I really appreciate all your support and the continuance of you guys watching the live streams in the channel. So thank you so much. We're going to jump right into the comedy movies. Comedy is a genre that I do love quite a bit. I've loved for a very long time. You'll see a lot of stuff from my era of comedies. I do feel like comedies is pretty much a dead genre. I think it's one of the genres that was sort of subsumed by the Marvel machine, the Disney machine. And we don't get stupid humor or political satire or really anything like that anymore. And that's a shame. But we'll talk about some classics here today. Like Date Night. No. Date Night's a pretty fun movie, but I have this really for the Farrelly brothers. There's Something About Mary, obviously the classic Farrelly brothers film. They were staples of the 90s, actually so much so that they also directed Dumb and Dumber, which is a near-perfect comedy in my opinion. I think the humor holds up very well. That's the type of film that we don't get anymore. Really smart comedies about really dumb people. You've got to be smart to be able to write stuff like that. This also has The Mask, which was a childhood favorite of mine, and I still adore it. It's a Chuck Russell film, based on a graphic novel where Jim Carrey really uses his abilities to become a cartoon character, essentially, and a really fun one. Get out of here, kid. You're bothering me. There's so many great lines in that movie, and I adore it. I've loved it since I saw it as a kid. I was obsessed with it, in fact. I even entered a contest one day that was in, like, Nintendo Power about the Mask sequel. I forget exactly what it was, but it was, like, an audition thing, and I remember my mom, like, did an audition tape for me and all that. I did not win, but it was like a Jim Carrey impersonation kind of thing. Here we have Ernest, a relic of the 90s. Ernest P. Worrell, played by Jim Varney, was a comedic classic of a character. You know, really the last of a dying breed in terms of slapstick characters who thought they had it all figured out but got into nothing but hijinks. Ernest Goes to Camp is one of the best Ernest films. I want to say that was the first Ernest film after The Show, if I'm not mistaken. And Camp Nowhere is a fun little Christopher Lloyd film that I do remember watching as a kid. There were a lot of these types of summer camp movies because summer camp was the shit back in the day. Let's see. Lucy says, I bet there will be a few Mel Brooks movies. Actually, there might be a couple, but I did show off my Mel Brooks collection, which houses the majority of the Mel Brooks movies. How forlorn. What's up, Dean? Thanks for stopping in before you hit the sack. I appreciate it. We're looking at the comedy here. We just got started. Here we have a double feature with Life with Mikey and Fatherhood. 2 movies I saw as a kid, but haven't watched in a very long time. Almost forgotten about. Get Smart, a fun little action comedy with Steve Carell. Very stupid humor, but very clever. And Yes Man, which I think is a very good Jim Carrey movie along the lines of Liar Liar. Actually, very similar to Liar Liar, but a very good movie with a good message, and Jim Carrey is great in it. What's up, Jolly Good? Yes, it will be a good day, that is for sure. Streams going. If you guys out some audio or whatever. Oh yeah, Mr. Cinecrunch, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. I have plenty of Adam Sandler movies, as I am a child of the 90s and the early 2000s. And he was doing a lot of great work at that time, and we'll definitely come across some of those. Here we have the absolute classic Groundhog Day. I think it's a perfect film. I think it's a perfectly told story with great characters. Never boring, always keeps you engaged, and has a really beautiful message of living in the moment. It's very philosophical, and I absolutely adore it. Stripes is a film that I like as a war satire, and I haven't seen it in quite some time, but I do remember enjoying it. Harold Ramis directed Groundhog Day, and Ivan Reitman Stripes. I sometimes conflate those two directors. Yes, early 2000s kid. Yeah, I was a teenager in the 2000s, but still a kid. So here we have a double feature of a childhood favorite of mine, Mafia. I was a big fan of the Mafia and the history of the mob, and obviously Mafia movies I was obsessed with when I was 13, when I was becoming an adult. And I love it. It's a parody movie, so it makes fun of all the great Mafia movies here in really fun and stupid fashion. This one was directed by Jim Abrahams. He was known for Top Secret and a lot of parody classics. Parodies, that's another type of film we don't see anymore. The Crew is one I actually haven't seen, kind of a mob comedy. Teenagers is concerned kid, in my opinion, is a concerned kid. Yeah, absolutely. Here we have triple feature of some of the best comedies of all time. Planes, Trains, I watch it every year around Thanksgiving. It's such a great film to remind you of what we should actually be thankful for. And it's about loneliness, and it's just such a beautiful film. When you learn of the twist of John Candy's character, it really hits you in the gut. Great comedic performances, very heavy in drama, very heavy in emotion, I'll say, but very funny and a great story. So Chevy Chase in Vacation, that is my favorite vacation movie. I think it holds up remarkably well. I think it's very funny. Harold Ramis, Beverly D'Angelo, Chevy Chase, of course. Good talk, Russ. This has so many great sequences that I adore. European Vacation I loved a lot as a kid, but as I've gotten older, I'd realized it is a step down from the original Vacation. But nothing really comes close to the original, in my opinion. So I love this movie. I love all those movies, to be honest. Mr. Cinecrunch asks, do you have superhero movies and Eurotrip? Yeah, so superhero movies I showed in a previous stream. You could check the archive if you'd like. I have a whole comic book section here with all my superhero movies, so you can get a quick look there. Right, moving on. We've got, I do have Eurotrip on DVD. I'm not sure if I have it on Blu-ray. I think I have Road Trip on Blu-ray. Not sure. We'll find out. Here we have the triple feature, the Red Cornetto trilogy. I don't know. There's a card that appears in each of these that kind of loosely ties them together as a trilogy. Very, thematically similar. Social commentaries here, but really fun movies across the board. My favorite of the bunch is probably Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz, but I have fun with The World's End. I think it's a really, really great film that has some twists and turns that I did not see coming the first time around. I had no idea what to expect. It's a film about friends and family, and it's a really good movie. All three of these, this is Edgar Wright at his absolute peak in his prime. Here's an interesting little set here that, I picked up because it was $1 or whatever. Yes, it's obviously cut up for whatever reason. But this has a bunch of 80s sort of, what do you call them? Like sex comedies or whatever. Private Resort, Spring Break, Perfect. Jamie Lee looks hot as hell in this. That's really why I own this, if I'm being honest with you. And what else? Spring Break, Private Resort, Hard Bodies, and Perfect. So there you go. I'm sure these are fun for what they are. The sex comedy. That's another genre that's gone. 10 Things I Hate About You, which was based on Shakespeare. I want to say Macbeth? No. I forget which Shakespeare story this is based. Hamlet, maybe? I forget. But 10 Things I Hate About You is 99, I think, right? It came out at the end of the 90s, and I've yet to see it. I've heard very good things about it. Here we have 21 Jump Street. I actually always hold these two films up as some of the last great comedy films that took risks and didn't care to be offensive and was irreverent while also making, social points and cultural points, and just very clever movies done with a very fast-paced and kinetic style by the Lord and Miller, who seem to have been neutered by Hollywood in a lot of ways. They were supposed to do the Solo movie, and they got booted because they were far too creative for the Disney executives' taste. And the 21 Jump Street movies, super fun. Don't sleep on these. Don't underestimate them. Good action, great comedy, good chemistry. I think they're a lot of fun. I do not have Casper on Blu-ray. I do have it on DVD. That's a childhood favorite of mine. Here we have a film that I've yet to see, 21 and over. I don't know much about this, but it's kind of one of those party comedies, I guess, like kids partying, What's up, Byron? Thank you for stopping in. Thank you so much. I appreciate all you guys coming back and listening to me talk about movies. Here we have the 40-year-old virgin. Boy, I'm not a virgin, but I am approaching 40 years old, and that that makes me feel rather old, if I'm being honest. I watched this recently, and I think it holds up very, very well. Has some really interesting things to say about getting older and about letting go of some of the things that that you care about, or at least getting them under control so that you could live the rest of your life. But it has some things I agree with, some things I disagree with. But I overall think it's a great movie, very funny. Steve Carell. A brilliant comedic performance by Steve Carell. And the beginning of the Judd Apatow era of comedies, which was the last decent era. Byron says, I'm watching The Office at the moment. Nice, nice. I've never seen The Office, if I'm being honest. You know I'm not a big TV guy. Here's a rom-com for you, 50 First Dates. I like this Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore movie that follows a young woman who has amnesia and keeps forgetting that she's in love with Adam Sandler. And Adam Sandler has to do everything in a very sweet fashion to try to remind her every day. And it's a beautiful love story that talks about some really adult, themes like Alzheimer's and forgetting things. And yeah, it's a very heartfelt movie, and I think it's a good one. Here we have the classic parody film, Airplane, which is just such a great movie, and it holds up remarkably well. I still quote this film all the time. I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. Just so many lines in this movie where they, at the end of the movie's like, I just want to tell you all good luck. We're all counting on you. I bust that out every once in a while, and I know that I'm in good company when people know what the reference is. If they don't know what the reference is and it goes over like a lead balloon, I know that the people I'm around are too serious for my taste. So this movie's great. Funny as hell, like the old white woman speaking jive. This movie has so many... have you ever seen a grown man naked? Have you ever been to a Turkish prison, Jimmy? So many great lines. Funny as hell. Still holds up. Always will hold up. Here we have American Graffiti, one of the George Lucas films that's definitely less spoken about because it's not Star Wars, but a very good drama comedy in its own right, and one that I do have to rewatch because I haven't seen it since I was a teen. Here we have the American Pie film, the original, that I think still holds up as for what it is, a kind of youth sex comedy about coming of age and college days and all that kind of stuff, that America. And American Reunion, I don't have two. I think Reunion's number 3. Is that right? Not sure. And Mr. Cinecrunch, yeah, I do have the superhero movies I showed off in an earlier stream, but yeah. I have a comic book section here. It has all my superhero movies. Feel free to check one of the previous live streams where I talk about all those in depth, talk about my favorites and all that. Here we have a couple great comedies here, mob comedies. I prefer the first one, but both are pretty fun. De Niro, Crystal, great chemistry here. What did Ivan Reitman, or no, Harold Ramis directed both of these, that's right. Not necessarily comedy classics, but very, very fun comedies with a mob kind of bend, so I enjoy that. Robert De Niro. Anchorman 1 and 2. I always thought it was weird how they put 2 before 1 here on the front, but oh, superhero movie with Drake. No, I don't have that one. I'd like it. I picked up this one pretty recently, Disaster Movie, which is in that same ilk. But yeah, I hate all those parody movies, but I also think they're so bad they're good. Hubie's Halloween, I thought it was pretty fun for a modern Adam Sandler film. Lucy, I have not... Oh, yeah, I did see Where the Buffalo Roam. Yeah, that's the Hunter S. Thompson film with Bill Murray. Very underrated little flick. That one gets overshadowed by the Gilliam classic, Fear and Loathing. But yeah, Bill Murray played a great Hunter S. Thompson. Adam McKay movies that I think hold up pretty well. I think these are funny. The first one's better than the second. Anger Management, I consider this one of the last great Sandler comedies. It's not a great movie, but it has a lot of what made his comedies good back in the day. Kind of stupid humor mixed with heavy social commentary there. Here we have Another Stakeout. I haven't seen Stakeout or Another Stakeout. Those are sort of buddy cop films that kind of went under my radar as I was growing up. Yeah, I love Bill Murray too. When he's good, he's fantastic. The Apartment, this is supposed to be a classic comedy from the 60s here that I've yet to see. Very happy to have this secured in the collection. I finally found this. This is out of print, very hard to find, but this is a classic comedy with John Candy and Eugene Levy, and a very cute and spunky Meg Ryan here. It's kind of a buddy comedy with some action set pieces, but more of a comedy for sure. Directed by Mark L. Lester, a great action director. So this does have some good action bits in it. It's the closest we got to a John Candy action movie. But it is more of a comedy, buddy cop comedy. It's a very fun movie and very hard to find on Blu-ray now. Mr. Cinecrunch asks what my favorite Adam Sandler movie is and least favorite. Least favorite is probably that Jack and Jill movie. That's hard for me to even watch. My favorite will be coming up, so stay tuned. Here we have Babe. Babe is the classic movie about a talking pig that I haven't seen since the 90s. This one's actually still sealed. And I have the sequel here too that nobody remembers, but I remember somewhat fondly. Here we have Be Kind, Rewind. This is Jack Black, Mos Def. I put it in a nice sleek yellow case here. And this is a great Michael Gondry movie, French filmmaker who makes very dreamlike and kind of trippy films like Eternal Sunshine, which is still my favorite of his, but Be Kind, Rewind, a lot more fun, less heavy in terms of the emotional baggage, and a really cool movie about the old video store days, and also all about creativity. Yes, 90s and early 2000s comedies are soul-soothing, and I think that might be because over the last 20 years, comedies have been crushed into multi-genre films like superhero films and Disney films, and comedy doesn't really have a lane of its own anymore, and I think that reflects our culture. Our culture takes itself a little bit too seriously these days, in my humble opinion. I think humor is the protection against bad ideas and tyranny and all those good things. And the Greeks even believed that thousands of years ago. I think it still holds true. Got to be able to mock everything, man. And when we feel like we can't mock everything, that's a reflection of the society and not necessarily a good one. Yes, the Friday... Oh, no, actually, I don't have it on Blu-ray. I have the sequels on DVD, but I do have the Blu-ray. Patience, Grasshopper, patience. It's coming up, for sure. Here we have Beer Fest. I still have a soft spot in my heart for these Broken Lizard comedies directed by Jay Chandrasekhar, the filmmaker who was kind of the head of Broken Lizard. This one is all about beer drinking as a sport, and it's funny as hell, especially coming from the perspective of somebody who stopped drinking years ago. I think it's rather chauvinistic in terms of the way it portrays beer, and it's very funny. Yeah, Charlotte's Web, that's a cute and heartwarming film, I agree. Here we have Being There with Peter Sellers, a very interesting and deeply philosophical film about faking it till you make it, essentially. And how this simple-minded gardener, who everybody thinks is using metaphors and thinks is so profound and so smart, and it's kind of a commentary on how we view experts in our society and elites. And this was made in the 80s, so it's gotten even worse since then. And this guy basically makes his way to the top of the government, and he's knows nothing. He just repeats the same dry slogan metaphors over and over, and everybody thinks he's brilliant. And so they put him up on a pedestal. It is very funny, but a damning social commentary. Big is a fun classic film about retaining your youth. It gets a little creepy, I will admit, with the love relationship between the two main characters. Penny Marshall directs this one. Very fun movie, pretty iconic for what it is, and great performances abound. Here's definitely one of my favorite Adam Sandler movies, Big Daddy. I think this is his best drama comedy that really has some hard-hitting moments to it about getting older and accepting responsibility. And this is the type of film we don't see much these days. So, yeah, you should watch Big again. It holds up very well. Here's a Coen Brothers film that everybody loves. There's like a religion that formed around it, which is fucking weird. And I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's a great movie, and I think it's near the bottom of the Coen Brothers filmography. With that said, it's still a good movie. The Big Short, Adam McKay doing a sort of political or cultural satire here. I've yet to see it, but it's about the housing crisis that was implemented by a bunch of evil folks to crush the little guy. Here we have The Big Year. I think this is a hard Blu-ray to find, but I like the cast, and who knows? Maybe it's a fun movie. Here we have Billy Madison, another one of my favorite Adam Sandler movies here. This movie is so funny and really leans into the stupid humor at when Adam Sandler was very young and wasn't afraid to throw shit at the screen and see what sticks. And this holds up really well, funny as hell, stupid humor. And doesn't really have too much to say like a lot of his other later films, but it's a funny movie, and sometimes that's all you need. Here we have Biodome. I think, who put this out? Olive Films put out the stupid humor classic Biodome. Stoner classic, some may say. Pauly Shore, Stephen Baldwin, William Atherton. See, I'm even talking like that 90s stoner kind of thing, man. And this is a fun movie about two guys who get stuck in this biodome. That was based on some weird experiments that were going on at the time. And they wreak havoc, and it's goofy, it's fun, it's not a bad movie. I'm glad to have it on Blu-ray. Birdcage, I've yet to see, I don't know much about it. Here we have the Chris Farley, David Spade classic Black Sheep. And Black Sheep is not quite as good as Tommy Boy, but I think both are pretty classic comedies for that era. Penelope Spheris directs this, the same director as Wayne's World, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Fun movie, not as good as Tommy Boy, but still lots of chemistry between Spade and Farley. Here we have Cock Blockers. This was originally called, but it got censored to Blockers, which makes no sense. And yeah, this one I actually haven't seen. I hear it's pretty irreverent and takes some risks in an era that doesn't take many risks. So I do want to watch that one and see how offensive it is. The Blues Brothers double feature. This has both the Blues Brothers movies. I haven't seen 2000 or the original in quite some time, but I'm sure they hold up well, at least the original. John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd classics there. Here we have a Disney Blu-ray exclusive of The Boatniks. The Boatniks is one I definitely did not grow up with, but I found this for relatively cheap at a pawn shop or something, thrift shop, and I picked it up. Here's Borat. I miss this type of comedy too. Just searing social commentary. Sacha Baron Cohen was one of the masters of that, and Who is America, which came out, I don't know, 5 years ago or something like that, still shows that he has it. But we've not heard much from Sacha Baron Cohen in some time, and that's quite a shame because he was really keeping this type of gonzo comedic live artistic performance. He was keeping it alive, and this character Borat is so funny, so funny, and I really miss this kind of comedy. This is a Region B Blu-ray. It looks, oh no, it's an all-region Blu-ray, so happy to have that. Breakfast Club, obviously the John Hughes classic. Not much needs to be said about this. It's a classic film that explores a bunch of stereotypes of the 80s that, persisted for quite a while longer until ultimately the nerds defeated the jocks and became cool. So, Brothers Grimsby. This is a film that Sacha Baron Cohen didn't have much to do with, I don't think. Oh no, he wrote the script for it. Well, that's why it has that insane, over-the-top, and irreverent style to it. This has some laugh out loud and some squeamish moments that just make you go, what the fuck is wrong with these filmmakers? And I love it for that. I think it's a blast. It has some really weird moments. And again, in a time where we don't get many comedies that really push the boundaries, I thought this one did in some really offensive and interesting ways. I thought it was pretty funny. Brothers Grimsby. Here we have Bruno. This is a hilarious movie that probably still pisses a lot of people off. I love it. I think it's funny as hell and really, again, pushes the boundaries. It's not as good as Borat, not as compelling a character as Borat, but definitely a character that holds up remarkably well and criticizes the way that elites that are so totally isolated from society, how they act, how they think. It's really digging into making fun of, the crazy side of the liberal endeavor. And, there's some real... That was the thing about Sacha Baron Cohen. He made fun of everybody. Left, right, center. He didn't give a shit. And it really comes through in all of his work. Here we have Burn After Reading. This is a Coen Brothers dark comedy with a little bit of violence that kind of catalyzes the plot. And very funny movie, very satirical. I do need to watch it again. It's been a very long time since I've seen it, so I do want to watch that one again. Here we have Caddyshack, which is a classic I watch every couple of years. I'm in the mood for Caddyshack and all the great, almost vignettes of comedy sketches that are in this film. Rodney Dangerfield steals the show in this movie. I think he's brilliant, and his off-the-cuff kind of improvisational offensive humor when he's walking around the club and just making fun of all types of people. It is so funny, and so Rodney Dangerfield and all of the cast does a good job here. I will admit that the film feels a bit disconnected, but that's why I say it's kind of like a loosely connected series of vignettes with the golf course as the centerpiece. Here we have Calvary. Calvary is the place that Jesus was crucified, and this is actually a darkly humorous religious comedy. and I don't know much about it, but it's John Michael McDonough. John Michael McDonough is the brother of Neil McDonough, the younger brother, I believe. Neil McDonough is known for In Bruges, so another director that does very darkly humorous comedies. And Calvary seems to be another one of them from the same family, we'll say, the brother of the guy that did In Bruges. And I love Brendan Gleeson, so to see him in a religious, dark comedy sounds right up my alley. Here's Candy. I sold off my DVD a long time ago and picked up this cheap Blu-ray. I don't have Caddyshack 2, Mr. Bob. In fact, I do have it on DVD. I doubt that even has a Blu-ray release these days. But I picked this up, this little weird, like, late 60s comedy with a weird cast. Marlon Brando, Richard Burton, James Coburn, Walter Matthau, Ringo Starr. I mean, the cast here is just incredible. It goes on and on. Coburn, Charles Aznavour, the French singer, John Huston, the director. I mean, Marlon Brando. Very strange, but I do want to check that out at some point. Here we have another Olive Films release. This one's still sealed. I sold off my DVDs years ago to get this little Ringo Starr comedy I hear pretty good things about. And Lalo Schifrin does the music. He's known for Enter the Dragon. Sorry, that's Enter the Dragon theme song. Here we have Chasing Amy from the crop of fantastic Kevin Smith comedies that came out in the 90s and the early 2000s. I think he was on a roll with his first, 5 films or so up until around Jane, Silent Bob. And Chasing Amy's no exception. I remember the twist in this movie that, yes, it was a big time at the deal. Call me this, call me that, whatever. It was a big twist at the time and really was a movie about acceptance and about a culture coming to terms with accepting things that were morally right in a time where a lot were telling us it was morally wrong. And I think this film still holds up pretty well today, despite its twist, I guess, rubbing people the wrong way. But, oh well. Here we have Disaster Movie. This is one I picked up pretty recently for $1, and I thought I'd add it to the comedy collection. Why not? Chef is a Jon Favreau-led film. I think did he direct it as well? Yeah, he wrote, directed, and starred in this little drama comedy that I do want to check out at some point. City Slickers is a great classic comedy with a great cast that's full of chemistry. Bruno Kirby, the late Bruno Kirby, was great. Eclectic actor. He was able to take on a diverse selection of roles. And Billy Crystal and Daniel Stern and Jack Palance. These 3 guys in sort of a midlife crisis go on a vacation and discover themselves and look for this treasure. And it's a film that I know will resonate with me as I get older, and I loved as a kid. So, what's your favorite Adam Sandler film? I would say Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore. I'd say Happy Gilmore is my absolute favorite, if I'm not mistaken. Ali G TV show? Of course, Dean. I love the Ali G TV show. The rapper character is not my favorite character, despite knowing exactly what he's parodying. But I do love the Ali G show. It's full of cringe humor, and it's fantastic. Here we have Clerks. This is the 15th anniversary edition, the black and white comedy, low-budget classic by Kevin Smith, the first of his films, where he famously sold off his comic collection to fund. And that is Clerks, which is a great comedy. Not really much to say about that film, but a good comedy that changes as you get older. Here's one of the last good Adam Sandler flicks, Click. This is one of the last few ones that made me cry like a child. This has a beautiful ending and a beautiful message about not being able to change the past and focusing on the future and focusing on the moment. And this is a great movie, Click. Glad to have it on the Blue. Here we have Clue, the movie, a movie that holds up very well, still very funny, and for a board game live action movie, it is pretty good. Crocodile Dundee, now that's a knife. Crocodile Dundee 2, I wish this had the third one, but it doesn't. The first 2 are better, obviously, than the third one, where he goes to L.A., but I do enjoy the Crocodile Dundee movies. They're a little dated, but they are pretty funny and a good fish out of water story for you. Here we have another yellow case I did here, custom yellow case for Dazed and Confused. And great cast, the classic Richard Linklater film, which still holds up, still is a great stoner comedy about a lost generation, and still holds up today. Very funny. Here we have The Dictator, which was directed by the guy Larry Charles, who directed Borat and Bruno and some of the other Sacha Baron Cohen classics. I actually do think this one would have fared better if everybody thought he was a real dictator. Now, I recommend, I do realize that they blended some of those improvisational live action performances with a narrative. And I think that makes it feel a bit stilted. But I do think this has some funny parts and is a pretty good social commentary, just not as clever and sharp and witty as some of the earlier Larry Charles and Sacha Baron Cohen flicks. But a film I've watched a couple times, and I think it holds up pretty well. Mr. Bob says, I love Clerks, proper indie-style comedy. What do you think of Clerks 2 and Clerks 3? Clerks 2 I thought was pretty good. I don't remember much about it, frankly. And 3 I have yet to see. Here's probably my favorite. This and Jay and Silent Bob are my favorite Kevin Smith films. This one holds up remarkably well. I have the German Blu-ray. I actually sold off the American one because it was worth like $100 at one point. It's ridiculous. This one looks fine. It looks just as good. And so even though it has, the Spanish text on the back, that's okay. I'm studying Spanish. That'll help me. Dogma is a film that critiques religion, criticizes, flays, excoriates religion, but also has some smart comedy about the role that religion plays in our society and belief plays in all human societies. And it has a lot to say, but it is irreverent and really pushed the boundaries at the time. I remember people hating this movie, being really up in arms about it and its offensiveness. If something's offended, I'm with Stephen King. He says if something is banned or deemed offensive, you should run out and see it right away or read it. You need one more Kevin Smith movie for your collection. Which one is that? Yoga Hosers? The classic Yoga Hosers? No, I'm just kidding. It's not a classic. But Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood is a classic. This was the second parody movie that the Wayans would do after I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. And this movie holds up remarkably well, especially for fans of the hood drama, the hood crime drama that were prevalent and popular in the 90s, New Jersey Drive, Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood. This parodies all of them, eviscerates all of them, and really makes for a funny movie. My favorite character is definitely Marlon Wayans. He is just way over the top, gangster kind of character, and funny as hell. This movie holds up so well, and I've yet to see it on Blu-ray, apparently. Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Yeah, that's a decent one. I like it for what it is, but it does have some of the magic lost, I will admit. More like Dennis, Don't Be a Menace. Exactly. Here we have Dr. Goldfoot. You guys know the Dr. Goldfoot movies. These are super obscure Vincent Price movies that are actually, I forgot who wrote these. It was like, was it Dr. Seuss or no? It was, of course, it doesn't say who wrote them on the back, which is annoying. But these are Vincent Price movies that are way over the top, kind of James Bond parodies of the time, kind of sex comedy James Bond parodies, and I've yet to see them on Blu-ray, but they are fun movies. More public domain movies, yeah. Here we have Dr. Strangelove, which is not in my Kubrick collection, so I had to own it separately, and this is a nice special edition from overseas. This is an all-region version. Golly, you want to see a film that is prescient and really understood political theory and the madness and absurdity of politics and government. This movie will, I guarantee you, if you're paying attention, inform you about a lot of the things that are going on in our world today. And it has a lot to say. Social commentary that still holds up. Kubrick and the writers knew exactly what was going on in American society and prescribed it, diagnosed it in this film, Dr. Strangelove. It's not just a comedy, folks. It's a political satire that has a lot to teach us about the systems we live in as humans. Drillbit Taylor is, I think, the last John Hughes film. Didn't he write this or no? Okay, Judd Apatow produced. Owen Wilson. I don't think I've seen that one, but it's from that era of comedies that I do have nostalgia for, and I think is the last bastion of good comedies. Dude, Where's My Car? Another stoner comedy where they never smoke. It's kind of implied that they're dumb stoners, from the Lost Generation, that kind of thing. And Danny Lerner directs this one. It's super fun. What's the scene? And then, it has so many funny quotes and funny scenes in it, and I think holds up very well. Dumb and Dumber 2, I have it because I'm a Farrelly Brothers fan, and they did direct it. I think it's an okay movie. It has some laughs. Here we have Empire Records, a classic I hear from the 90s that I've not yet seen. I hear many good things about this as a 90s classic, but a teen classic, but I've yet to see it. Let's see, do I have Ghetto Busters? Great parody of blaxploitation movies. No, I've never heard of Ghetto Busters. That sounds interesting. I'll have to look that one up. Dean asks about Dogma 2. Yeah, that would be cool. That'd be cool. I doubt Kevin Smith has it in him, but who knows. Here we have another great Ernest classic, Ernest Goes to Jail. I think this was the last one to go to theaters, if I'm not mistaken. Has that theatrical look and budget to it. And very fun movie, super funny. And if you like Ernest, like I said, a relic of the 90s, a character that died out, in the late 90s. Sort of with the actor, I suppose. Jim Varney is at the top of his comedic game in this movie, and it's stupid fun, but it's a blast. Very colorful film, too. Has a lot of good lighting, and you wouldn't expect that from a dumb comedy, but we get it. Here we have Extract, which is a Mike Judge movie that has a lot to say about corporatism and the absurdity of it. And Mike Judge always has some searing political commentary to provide. I wish I had Idiosyncrasy on Blu-ray, but I don't. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Jim Varney passed away quite some time ago. Here we have the 80s classic by Amy Heckerling, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Another, stoner character in Spicoli there. And don't remember all the details of this one, but I have seen it. It's a fun movie. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Hunter S. Thompson, based on the book. Great cast, very trippy movie, very surreal, absurd kind of narrative here, and road movie of these two characters who are tripping balls the whole movie on different kinds of drugs. It's fun. And Ferris Bueller's Day Off, obviously the John Hughes classic Bueller's Day Off. Bow. I always remember that from this movie. Great selection of music, fun romp, fun adventure kind of comedy about kids being kids and being rebellious and all that. Fist Fight, a comedy I've yet to see. I remember I picked that up at the Dollar Tree a long time ago. Here we have Fletch, a film that I watch over and over. I think this movie is so funny. And probably one of my favorite Chevy Chase movies, along with the Vacation movies. This movie has so many funny scenes. Moon River. You ever do any time, Doc? So many funny moments, little quips by Chevy Chase, who's at the peak of his comedic game here. And Michael Ritchie directs this one. Fun movie. The sequel's not as good. The sequel's kind of disconnected and strange, but this is a really fun, almost Beverly Hills Cop style movie. Actually, I say that because the music is done by Harold Faltermeyer, and it has that Hills Cop vibe to it. Forgetting Sarah Marshall, a rom-com that I do enjoy from the Apatow crew. Very funny movie. I actually watched this pretty recently. It's very sweet. It even made me cry with some of its messages about, letting go of the past and opening yourself up to something even better than what you knew. And it's a very, very good comedy. I especially like Jason Segel's music about Dracula, the Muppet Dracula kind of epic that he envisions and kills at the end in a performance, and it's just so funny. So good and heartfelt. Foul Play, Chevy Chase and Goldie Hawn film I have yet to see. Four Weddings and a Funeral, haven't seen it. The FP, haven't seen this, but I've heard really fun things about this movie. It's put out by Draft House. Here we have Friday, the director's cut, the hood classic comedy, of course, with Ice Cube and Chris Tucker, where he got his start, and very fun movie, stoner comedy. These dudes just smoke weed all the time. It's from the earth, and get into all these sorts of, hood hijinks and all this stuff. It's a great comedy classic. Fubar 2, you got me. I don't even know if I have Fubar 1, but there you go. I don't know much about it. Full Monty is a film I remember seeing advertisements for when I was growing up and never had a chance to see the movie. Here's a surprising action comedy that came out that is kind of like the movie The Game by David Fincher, but more humorous and less psychological. But this one still kind of plays with your mind. You're not, the characters have no idea what's going on, whereas the audience does have a good idea about what's going on, and they kind of get in way over their heads and start doing real crime and trying to get out of these crazy situations they find themselves in. Very funny movie. I recommend it. Good night, Dean. Thanks for tuning in. Feel free to check out the archive. We'll be going for probably another hour here or so, and once the comedy's done, we'll call it for today. But thanks for tuning in, Dean. You take it easy, buddy. Yeah, are we there yet? That was a pretty fun Ice Cube movie. Ice Cube doesn't impress me too much, if I'm being honest with you. But here we have a cool Buster Keaton Kino film here with it's got some good shorts on it, and also The General. My mom actually got this for me for Christmas one year, and which was super sweet and right up my alley. Silent film classic, Buster Keaton. Here we have George of the Jungle. This was my Tarzan in the 90s. I liked the animated one, but I preferred George of the Jungle with Brendan Fraser. Fun film, almost like a live-action cartoon. Goofy, over-the-top, well-directed. Has a style that is definitely of the past, you know, where it doesn't take itself seriously. It's making a movie for adults and for kids alike. And the movie kind of changes its character as you get older. That's also something we lost. Treating the audience with a certain level of respect. How many movies are in the collection? My entire collection, I have close to 8,000 movies. My Blu-ray is probably around like 4,000. I'm not exactly sure. Get Him to the Greek. I remember watching this in theaters and getting some kicks out of it. I'm not sure how it holds up today. Get Shorty, which is a Barry Sonnenfeld, classic comedy that kind of crosses the mob with Hollywood and it makes for a pretty funny movie that I haven't seen in many a year. All right, moving on to the second to last shelf here. We have the classic The Jerk, starring Steve Martin with Carl Reiner, probably one of my favorite Reiner films. This is a very funny movie with just a ridiculous protagonist. Yeah, George of the Jungle, I think, had a cartoon as well. And yes, it is in the vein of the Rocky and Bullwinkle kind of live-action movie, which I think gets a real bad rap. I don't think people quite understood what that movie was trying to do. I'll talk about that at some point in the future. Here's the sequel to Get Shorty that no one remembers. Be cool. Girl Next Door, a good kind of sex coming-of-age comedy starring Emil Hirsch with the girl next door who's super hot and, gets into all this kind of sex-oriented comedic hijinks. Good Boys. I've not seen this, but I hear it takes some risks in a time where we don't take many. Grumpy Old Men and Grumpier Old Men, the comedy double feature here. A comedy about old folks and their problems and the things that they go through, and really helps put you in the shoes of people who are aging and see the world through their perspective. And I think that's another thing that's lost. We don't like to make movies with old folks anymore because apparently they have nothing to offer. But of course they do. They've been on the planet longer. A Gun and Betty Lou's Handbag, I've never seen. Yeah, I think the Rocky and Bullwinkle live-action movie is ahead of its time, and a lot like the Chip and Dale movie that we got a couple years ago. Remember? Don't you think? Here we have Hail Caesar, a Coen Brothers movie I've yet to see. Hangover, I really think this movie holds up very, very well, and, '09 was really one of the last great comedy years, I'd say. Those 2 years, '08, '09. And a very good, very interesting narrative style where it kind of tells the story in reverse and kind of takes out all the fun stuff and then allows the audience to kind of piece it together with the main characters who are completely hungover. I don't remember enjoying the sequels very much, but I would like to rewatch those at some point. I'd have to say this is my favorite Adam Sandler film. This is Happy Gilmore, where he's a hockey player who moves to golf because he has one hell of a swing. And it's an underdog story, and he kicks the shit out of Shooter McGavin, ultimately has a fight with Bob Barker. Carl Weathers is in this movie. It's all in the hips. This movie just brings together everything that made Adam Sandler movies compelling and tells a really funny story at the same time. Harold and Kumar, a trilogy that I adore. I think all of them are great. The first one still being my favorite. I think it's a comedy classic, a stoner classic. These guys explicitly get high all the time, which makes it very funny. Really smart social commentary in the second one, I think, which takes some funny risks. Harry and the Hendersons. This is a film I do enjoy, but I haven't seen in a long time. About a Bigfoot. It's kind of a Bigfoot comedy. Here we have Heathers, a very dark comedy, coming-of-age kind of teen comedy at the time, which did differentiate itself from the John Hughes movies because it took a very, very dark and satirical look at what was going on in high schools and with young people. And I think it's a seething social commentary. Heavyweights, a film with Ben Stiller there and a bunch of kids, even Kenan Thompson and Goldberg from Mighty Ducks. A fun Disney movie from back in the day, another summer camp movie where Ben Stiller's the bad guy. High Fidelity. This is a good comedy that I haven't seen since back when I was a teenager, so I can't speak on it too much. Horrible Bosses 2, I've not seen. Horrible Bosses 1, I thought was okay. Hot Tub Time Machine, I watched this pretty recently. I still think it holds up. Ben Stiller has a father. Yeah, I would imagine so. Jerry Stiller, right? Hot Tub Time Machine uses time travel as the gimmick, sort of a Back to the Future kind of framework, and just leans into the stupid humor and the comedy and the chemistry between these four characters, which is actually underrated and very well done. This movie is very, very funny, even heartfelt, and has some good messaging towards the end of the film, again, about not trying to change the past and not letting regrets hold you back. The Interview, a comedy that took major risks at the time, and one that I can't really get into, admittedly, because I just don't think it's very funny or very smart in its political satire. But I do want to watch it again to see if my opinion holds up. Here we have Jackass 3, the only Jackass movie I have on Blu-ray. I have the rest of them on DVD, and honestly, I'm okay with that. Here we have a harder to find Blu-ray these days, Jay and Silent Bob. I saw this in theaters with my dad. Yes, he brought me when I was 13 to go see this. Rest his soul. But I'm glad he did, because I love this movie. Fuck, motherfuck, motherfuck, noise. Weed, doing coke, drinking beers. This movie is so funny and so irreverent and so offensive. And you can't help but love these morons, especially Jason Mewes, who carries the movie on his back and is just such a remarkable character actor in this movie. And Jay and Silent Bob, when I watch them, I do watch them back to back, and I always am a little let down by, how much time has passed and how different these two characters are. Even the writer of the film is a very different person, and it does reflect that. It's got some fun bits to it, but definitely not nearly as fun as the original. Johnny English, a film my father adored when I was a kid, but I never really saw the fun in. But I do have it because it was one of my dad's favorites, and I do want to rewatch this as an adult and see if my opinion has changed. Mystery Men is a very unknown Ben Stiller movie, Lucy says, and I agree with that. I wish I had that one on Blu-ray. That's a great one. Here we have Jojo Rabbit. I think Jojo Rabbit, it looks very interesting, and this is the type of film we don't get too many of these days, so political satire that makes fun of buffoons like Hitler and tries to understand, some of that kind of stuff. This is a 4K I got from a buddy. And this one is Jungle to Jungle, I Love You. This is a classic fish out of water kind of movie that I'm sure does not hold up in the minds of folks today. But I still think it's a pretty good fish out of water story with a good performance by Tim Allen. Very funny performance, and this is from the Disney Movie Club, so I doubt that this one is a cheap one. But I'm glad I picked it up when I did. Here we have Just Go With It, an Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston film. They did a couple films together. Did they? Yeah, well, Murder Mystery, which is a fun movie. But I want to watch this and give it a shot because I like the two of them. Just Married, I haven't seen since I saw in theaters. Keanu, I definitely want to watch this one because I like Key and Peele and I like their writing and kind of their stupid humor, but it's very smart at the same time and very witty. This is kind of a play or parody on John Wick, I think. At least it looks that way. Kingpin, another Farrelly Brothers classic that is, an epic comedy, kind of road movie comedy, sports drama comedy. It's got a lot going for it. Very funny characters. Like Bill Murray's character in this is ridiculous and kind of takes bowling and makes it as interesting as you can make bowling, I should say. Knights of Badassdom. This is a fun little Dungeons and Dragons style movie with real fantasy and these characters that are playing a game and unleash this evil and then they have to defeat it. It's a pretty fun movie with a good performance by Peter Dinklage. Another Judd Apatow classic here. I think this movie holds up very well. I like it about just as much as 40-Year-Old Virgin. I think they're both very good comedies about accepting responsibility and growing up and, letting go of some of your old ways and continuing, evolving and developing as an adult. And I think we're struggling with that as a society, for sure, still to this day. So Apatow had his finger on a pulse, like all good comedic writers do. Let's Be Cops, I've not seen. I've heard pretty funny things about. Liar, Liar, a very good movie. This is from the crop of Jim Carrey movies where he was just on top of the world from like 94 to, 99? I'd even argue 2000 and 2003. I think those 8 year or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of Jim Carrey movies up to, from Dumb and Dumber to Eternal Sunshine. I think, man, some of those movies are just some of the best comic classics of all time. And Liar Liar has a simple gimmick where the main character gets like an affliction where he cannot lie, and it teaches him a lot about life and how much easier it is to tell the truth and how telling the truth could really set you free. Learning how to say no, learning how to say yes with conviction can really set you free, and I recommend everybody learn how to tell people no. It's a very powerful word once you know how to wield it. Don't let people take advantage of you. No. Most powerful word in the English dictionary. Yeah, we all used to be young, jolly good. We're all getting older. I'm not a big fan of Woody Allen films. Granted, I've only seen a few, like Sleeper. But it's just not really my style of humor. I do want to rectify that. One of the lesser Mel Brooks written and directed movies, I definitely see what he tried to do here. About a rich guy who is basically, they make a bet that he can't spend, like a certain amount of money in like a week or something. And I don't know, what is it? Has just made a deal that would change his life in order to win the right to build over a ghetto, so gentrify. Bolt must survive on its impoverished streets penniless for 30 days. That's right. So he has to survive for 30 days without a dime, this millionaire. And it has some lessons to be had, but doesn't really tell a compelling comedic story. Mallrats, Kevin Smith at his prime. This is a super fun movie when he wasn't taking things too seriously, and I love that movie. I used to be young too, yeah. Look at this face. I used to be young. We all used to be young. To be young. Here's a Woody Allen classic. I hear this one is great. That's why it's in the collection, and this one definitely appeals to me. Because I do like a good New York comedy, and I know he's from New York, and all of his movies are basically New York comedies, but I hear really good things about Manhattan. Mid-20s, there you go. I'm in my late 30s, buddy. You've got some time to catch up. Me, Myself, and Irene, enjoy it while it lasts. Jim Carrey, one of the last great comedic performances, I'd say, by Jim Carrey. Again, it has a gimmick. It's the Farrelly Brothers, but it does have a gimmick where this guy has a split personality. You can't even make movies like this anymore because they'd be considered offensive and ableist and exploiting, people's disabilities. Whereas if they actually watch the movie and try to, use their brain and look beneath the layers, you could see that the movie is obviously making... the Farrelly Brothers made movies about disabled people all the time, but I've never gotten the vibe that they were making fun of unfairly or exploiting, disabled people. They were talking about how we're all human and we need to appreciate people who are different than us and respect them. And that's the Farrelly Brothers in a nutshell. And this one nails it. I think Me, Myself, and Irene is a great film that overstays its welcome just a tad. You got Manhattan for 50 pence. That's got to be pretty cheap. Not bad. The Men Who Stare at Goats. This is a film based on a real historical event where the CIA tried to mess with people's minds and do all these like mind reading things and all this nutty stuff that I'm sure they continued doing. But that's a comedy by George Clooney that I've yet to see. Miss Congeniality is a pretty good movie for what it is. I was expecting it for it to be a chick flick, and it is, but it's got a little bit of action, got some mystery, got some humor, and a beautiful Sandra Bullock, obviously. Money for Nothing is a film I've never seen. Monty Python films, I need Life of Brian, but I do have Holy Grail, and my personal favorite, The Meaning of Life. I know people don't like it because it feels fragmented, and it's more a series of sketches and vignettes, comedic vignettes. But I think a lot of them have a lot to say. They're very, very sharp satire, and the guys, came together for the last Monty Python movie here, and I think it's a fun movie with a lot of great sets and a lot of good cinematography and set pieces that really show its budget. Oh, Muppets Manhattan? Yeah, Muppets in Manhattan I adore. Oh, here we have Movie 43, which I've heard is one of the worst movies ever made. It's like an anthology film with 43 different short films or something, and I just hear it's one of the worst things ever made, so I must watch it. Here we have Mrs. Doubtfire. Again, a movie that I'm not sure could be made today because, I don't know, he's dressing up as a female or whatever. But this movie still holds up. Very funny, very heartfelt, and a great performance by Robin Williams. And Chris Columbus directs this one. My Cousin Vinny, a great court drama comedy here with immaculate performances by everybody involved. Joe Pesci, Macchio, Tomei, and Fred Gwynne. Joe Pesci plays the lawyer. Tomei, the brains, kind of. Fred Gwynne, the... How do you say? The judge, geez. And Macchio, the guy that Joe Pesci is defending. I watched this recently, rewatched it, and I think it's a great movie, and it holds up. It's talked about still for a good reason. And the two youths. You know, the two youths. Oh, you mean youths? No, the two youths. National Security, a film I saw in theaters. This was coming off the coattails of movies like Rush Hour and a buddy cop film with some action that is pretty good. Just not much chemistry between Martin Lawrence and Steve Zahn. There's far more between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, but a good movie in its own right. Dennis Dugan directs that one. And this one is Nature Calls. I've never seen this comedy, but I got it at the Dollar Tree. Observe and Report, we went to go see in theaters, and we left kind of scratching our heads because it's we were expecting like a stupid humor film, like Paul Blart or something, and it was a very dark drama comedy with a psychotic complex by the main characters, and I want to rewatch it to see how it holds up, but I think it might be a social commentary on about power and how it infects us and makes us terrible. Yeah, that's right. I do like that. That was a good opening, if I remember right. Here we have Mike Judge in Office Space, another social commentary about the soullessness of most modern jobs, office jobs, and things where you just sit in one spot and go frickin' crazy and neurotic. I resonate with this movie greatly. I've written stories that are akin to this with like genre elements. I really love Mike Judge, and he had a lot to say about humans and about how we interact in this technological era. And Mike Judge is fantastic. His cartoons, his live action stuff, all of it. Old Dogs, I've yet to see. Can't speak on that one. Here we have Old School. This is Todd Phillips, one of his early films here that was kind of like a fraternity, Animal House style comedy that I haven't seen in a very long time. Here's a forgotten John Candy film with an ensemble cast, as you can see there. And a nice black see-through case from overseas. This is Eugene Levy directs, actually, this caper classic that's sort of a parody, but follows all these different groups of people who are trying to solve a crime. I don't really remember, but I remember it had a vibe of like Cannonball Run to it in an essence. The Other Guys, an Adam McKay comedy that I think is very funny. Very good chemistry between these two guys, and it really is a parody on the buddy cop film, and it deconstructs it in some very interesting ways, some very funny ways, too. Here we have Napoleon Dynamite, a film I hated the first time, loved the second time, and I've yet to watch since then, so I wonder how this holds up. It's got this weird, like, Liger case here with weird felt. It's very strange, but a film that I do want to rewatch because it comes from an era of comedies that were still taking risks. Here we have Greg Araki, admittedly a filmmaker I'm not very familiar with, but this teen apocalypse trilogy is supposed to be darkly satirical and humorous, and one of them, The Doom Generation, I hear has some action and is a pretty fun film. Gen X, Disillusionment, Gonzo Violence, Hallucinogenic Surrealism, New Queer Cinema, Punk Scuzz, all these very transgressive terms here, and I hear Greg Araki is one of the best filmmakers in his field, so I do want to check that out. Here we have The Parent Trap, a Disney Blu-ray exclusive that I haven't seen since I was a little boy. Was remade with Lohan years later in the 90s. That's the one I really grew up with, admittedly. Paul, a very underrated, I think, sci-fi comedy. Here with the guys from oh my goodness, Spider. It's all right. He's cleaning up. I'm not going to bother him. Here we have Paul again, a very funny comedic classic. You guys should check this one out. It's actually pretty funny, and obviously there's chemistry between Nick Frost and Simon Pegg, and they're just always funny together. Even though this one is not directed by by what's his name, Edgar Wright. It's directed by Greg Mottola, who's a good comedic director in and of his own right, because he did Superbad, which is a comedy that holds up very well. Don't touch my movies. Don't. Meh. Come on, can you get out of the way, bud? Yeah, I think you guys should rewatch Paul. I think it was underappreciated at the time, and I think it holds up pretty damn well. Peter Butterfalcon, I hear this is a very good drama, comedy film that actually employs a mentally handicapped young man, to play a mentally handicapped character. So that's really interesting, and I hear he does a very good job, so. Kitty! Yes, sir, kitty! He wants food. It's feeding times. Here we have Pee-wee's Big Adventure, one of the most underrated. I know it's not an underrated film, but I think people forget that Tim Burton, who's known for his moody, atmospheric movies that he would do after this, has a very dry and playful atmosphere, very different than the movies he would create later. But this is a comedy classic, kind of a road comedy classic, where all Pee-wee's trying to do is find his bike, and he gets into all types of shenanigans and chicanery as the film goes on. Tim Burton classic. This is a nearly perfect comedy, if not a perfect comedy. Here we have Pixels, a film that I've stuck up for more than one time. I think this is a pretty fun movie, especially if you're an old school gamer. I can really appreciate all the classic cameos from these old arcade video games, and they go full-throated with their homage to the old video games that these guys grew up with, and I think it holds up pretty okay. It's a decent action movie. It's not bad. Come on, guys, have fun. This came out at a time where people decided that they didn't like to have fun in movies anymore, and people hated it. From a different era, folks. Here's the Jolly Good says, I've seen that movie before, the one where Pac-Man bites his father's hand. Yeah, exactly. Porky's is kind of the quintessential sex comedy of the late 70s that kind of paved the way for this genre to kind of blossom in the 80s. And look who directed it and wrote it. Bob Clark, or at least directed and produced it. Bob Clark, who would go on to do A Christmas Story, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, Dead of Night, all these diverse films all over the genre spectrum. Porky's is okay. Sex comedies are not really my forte, as they say. And, of course, with that said, I have Porky's 2 and Porky's Revenge on a double feature by Kino. So there you go. Pretty woman walking down the street. This is a film my mom loved as a kid, and when I was old enough, she showed it to me. And I don't remember much about it, but I remember it being a film about not judging people, not judging books by their cover, and this rich guy and a prostitute, I think, kind of spark up a romance. And I haven't seen it in so many years, but God, was she beautiful at this point in her career. UHF, yes, I have seen UHF. The Dewey Decimal System. I remember that from it. It's been a long time, and I don't have it on Blu-ray. Here's Project X, which from what I understand, is a found footage teen sex comedy produced by Todd Phillips, and I really am interested in that kind of conceit, so I want to give that one a shot. I found these at a local bookshop recently, and I was so happy to have finally pick up Problem Child 1 and 2. There is a 3, not sure if it's on Blu-ray. I'm sure it did get one because the other 2 got one, but the third one does have different characters and different actors and stuff. I grew up watching these movies. I think they hold up in a middling fashion, but at the time, it was a child's fantasy to watch these movies about this little kid who just got away with all these sorts of hijinks, but still, learns his lesson in the end. John Ritter plays a father who's just trying to do right by his kid, and they get into more and more trouble. He gets into more and more trouble as the film goes on. He is magnificent as a little brat, obnoxious brat, and that's, what's his name? Jack Warden in a very, very funny movie. I still think it's good. Bill Murray, underrated and forgotten comedy heist classic here with Bill Murray and the gang. This gang of characters pull off a heist and then just try to get out of the city by any means necessary, and they can't because things keep coming up. And it's a great, great, rollicking little heist film that I think is supremely underrated and forgotten by Bill Murray fans and comedy fans in general. This film came out in '90 and was actually co-directed by Bill Murray. So there you go. If you guys like Bill Murray, one of his more underrated films. Yeah, I do not have Are We There Yet on DVD or Blu-ray. I guess I'm not as big of a fan. This one I saw in theaters twice, once with my dad and once with my buddies at the time. We loved this movie. This was our generation's Cannonball Run, and it was super fun. Ensemble cast: Rowan Atkinson, John Cleese, Whoopi Goldberg, Cuba Gooding Jr., Seth Green, John Lovitz, Breckin Meyer, Amy Smart. Just so many great characters who are all trying to vie for this prize of $1 million or whatever, while all these rich people are gambling on their demise or success. And it has a lot to say about the rich and the poor, and how we fight each other over little bits of scrap and money and lottery and all these things, and we forget about what's really important in life. And this movie has a good amount to say on that, but at its core, it's a rollicking, Cannonball-like run. It's a mad world-like adventure. Hello, John Knight. What's up? Thank you for tuning into the live stream. We are about 3/4 of the way through our comedy films, and here comes Kitty asking for food. John Lovitz, the radio or the radio announcer? Not that I know of, no. I don't think he was a radio announcer. Kitty. All right, here we have Revenge of the Nerds, an 80s comedy classic. I don't necessarily like this slipcover because they did this with Deadpool when they were trying to market Deadpool movies. They were putting him on all these classic slipcovers, and I don't know, not a big fan of that. But Rocket Man, this is a fun little Harlan Williams film at a time when he was a leading man in some comedy films, a couple films like Sorority Boys. Harlan Williams is one of the great comedy geniuses, I think, of our time, or Harlan Williams of our time, and doesn't get as much love as I think he should. Rocket Man is a fun little Disney comedy put out by the Disney Movie Club back in the day, and I'm sure this is a very hard film to find now, but I remember having fun with this as a kid, and I would like to give it a shot as an adult. And the kitty is chilling. Role Models. I haven't seen this film in a long time, but this is from the Apatow kind of crop of comedies in the aughts and early 2010s. Here we have a great comedy classic that it took me way too long to see. I finally watched this for the first time around 6 months ago, and I actually watched it twice in a row because it was such a refreshing breath of fresh air about these two dim-witted young women who go on this journey to impress people, and it has a lot to. It's a social commentary, kind of like the female version, the female answer to Dumb and Dumber. Mira Sorvino, I fell in love with both of them in this movie. They're both freaking hot, cute, ditzy, and ultimately hilariously funny, the two of them. The chemistry is palpable, and especially her. Golly, is she cute. That little Romy, the little look she does. Sorry, it's been a while. This is a fun comedy, guys, and don't underestimate it. It's not really a chick flick. In ways it is, but it's, Roxanne. This is a play on the old, what was it? I guess it was a play on Pinocchio, that's right. And I haven't seen this film since the 90s. My mom showed that one to us when we were kids. Say Anything, believe it or not, a classic 80s film I've yet to see. Oh man, this movie really left an impression on me when I first saw it. I thought it was a beautiful social commentary. Jason, what's going on, man? Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the JC comment. That's a compliment to me. Here we have a really fun movie about life and letting go and going on an adventure in a world that is doing everything it could to suppress that adventurous part of our soul. And Ben Stiller directs this, and I think it has a lot to say, and a very fun movie with some surprising action bits. Secretary, a movie I've yet to see. I hear it's a dark comedy about office life with James Spader and a pretty sexy-looking Maggie Gyllenhaal there. A Serious Man. Here's a Coen Brothers movie that nobody talks about that I definitely want to watch. I have not seen, but I think it'll be a pretty good, social commentary and satire as they usually do. And, oh yeah, Jonathan Taylor Thomas played in a Pinocchio adaptation from the 90s. That's right. Drama collection? Yeah, drama's coming up after comedy. That's just going to be another day. I'm going to finish this up, and then we'll do drama on another day. All right, the last little crop of movies here. We have Shakes the Clown, which is an underrated Bob Goldthwait directed film. This was the first film he wrote and directed. and really surprised people with his very, very pitch black humor that he brings to the screen. Guys, watch God Bless America. Talk about an offensive film where two people just go around on a killing spree, and it's played for laughs. This guy has a searing sense of dark comedy, and it comes across very well in Shakes the Clown. Bobcat Goldthwait kind of talks like this. That was kind of his shtick, but he's a very witty writer and a good director. So check out this movie about this alcoholic clown who gets into all sorts of crude adventures. Actually, Adam Sandler makes a cameo in that, believe it or not. Shakes the Clown. Oh, man, you can't get it in the UK. That's why you got to get yourself an all-region player. Then you can play anything. Here, another one I got from the Disney Movie Club back in the day, Sister Act 1 and 2. Again, movies from my childhood that I watched as a kid and have fond memories of. And so I have it on the double feature. Here we have 16 Candles, one that I haven't seen by John Hughes, so I can't speak much about. This was the first Broken Lizard film to fall out of the theater and kind of go straight to video. And I think it's an okay one, but its lack of budgetary sort of freedom definitely shows a bit. But it's got all the guys back in very funny doing very funny characters. And the chubby guy, Kevin Heffernan, actually directs this one, not Jay Chandrasekhar, the lead guy there. But it has the Broken Lizard team playing all different stupid characters. You'd know these guys from Super Troopers, probably their most famous movie, which holds up very well. So I Married an Axe Murderer, one of the first Blu-rays I ever got in my collection, believe it or not. We all started small, and I've yet to see it. So there you go. S.O.B., this is, I think, Blake Edwards, that's right, classic film here. With an interesting cast, and I don't really know much about this, but hey, for a movie called Son of a Bitch, I'll give it a shot. Here we have Step Brothers, a movie I rewatched recently, coming off of a watch about 10 years ago that I wasn't too fond of. But I'll say this film actually holds up very well and has some really beautiful messages about acceptance and moving on and letting go of your childishness and gaining responsibility, which is something that we all have to do in life, even if we don't like to do it. But I believe in always having a bastion of your youth that you could retreat to while taking care of your adult responsibilities. These characters learn a lot from each other, they grow, and actually a lot of the emotion for me comes from the father character played by Richard Jenkins, whose turn of heart is just such a beautiful and poignant moment in that movie. Oh, okay, I'll check that email, Blastone. Sorry about that. I may not have seen it. I will check it, though. Sorry, I haven't checked my email in some time on the Bored Cyborg side. I will, though. Tomorrow I'm off, so I should have time to do that. Suburbicon is a film I've yet to see. Super Troopers, thank you for joining the live stream, Blastone. I appreciate that. And this one, Super Troopers, is the first of the Broken Lizard films, which really put them on the map. And look at that logo. That's funny. And deals with a whole bunch of power-hungry cops who are just screwing off and not really doing their job and torturing and terrorizing people. It's a very sharp social commentary on cops and actually has a very good progression in terms of the story. Here's one of my favorite comedies from the last 25 years, Superbad. This is a beautiful film about friendship and the trials and tribulations of a good friendship, and love and youth and your innocence fleeing from you, fleeting innocence. I love this movie. McLovin is hilarious. It's still got many laugh-out-loud moments. I think it's fantastic. Thanks, Blastone. Says, sounds great. I love your content, especially the thrift videos when you are so loud. Yes, sorry about that. I do have a tendency to speak loudly, but that's okay. Better than speaking quietly. At least I feel so. Swingers here, which is the Jon Favreau classic. Very, very funny, still holds up. Ted. I haven't seen that since theaters, but I remember enjoying it. Here's one of the more underrated comedies of the 80s. Yes, I will say it. This film came out in 87. Directed by Phil Joannou, who is a very underrated filmmaker. I think he got his start doing music videos for U2. And he would go on to do this great underrated bully classic, 3 O'Clock High, where the whole movie starts, in the beginning, this nerd kind of character gets into a beef with the new bully guy. And the whole movie deals with the psychological elements that come from knowing that you have to fight somebody after school. And not all of us know what that is like, but I unfortunately do. And it was a torturous experience for me, knowing that, after the school day, I hear that somebody wants to fight me, and then I go out and, we end up not fighting in my case, but because we could talk through it. But it was torturous psychologically, and violence is never the answer. And this film has some really sharp social commentary about that. And it's a brisk 90-minute film, underrated. Nobody remembers this movie. And it's the same director as State of Grace, which I think is one of the most underrated mob films. Well, here's one of the most underrated teen comedies of the 80s. Check out 3 O'Clock High. Never a dull moment. Jolly Good says the same guy that did Family Guy did Ted. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Oh, yeah. The DVD holder. The cases are so loud. Yeah. John Knight says Super Troopers beams are going to blind me. Yeah. Super Troopers is funny as hell. I kind of want to see the sequel. Blastone, My Bodyguard is even better. My Bodyguard. Okay, I haven't seen that one. I'll have to check that one out. I know of it, though. Throw Mama from the Train, a very dark comedy with Billy Crystal, Danny DeVito, who plot to kill their mama because she's an oppressive and overbearing dictator-like parent. And these guys are still trying to let go of her as they're into their 30s. And very dark comedy by Danny DeVito, who does that kind of thing very well. He did Death to Smoochie, which is a pitch black comedy. I love pitch black comedies. I love absurd, dark comedies. It's great. Another genre we don't get much of. Tim and Eric, this is not a dark comedy. Well, at moments it is. This is a psychedelic, stupid humor, but very clever and smart comedy about these two guys who get money to make a movie and they kind of blow it. It always reminds me of kind of what Tom Green appears to have done with Freddy Got Fingered. He got a bunch of money from the studio and then made like the dumbest movie possible and blew all that money. I think it's a masterful piece of art, of transgressive art. Chris Farley, David Spade, the great comedic classic duo with great chemistry. Tommy Boy. This was the first of the films that they collaborated on amongst, I think, two? And Peter Siegel directs this, and he did Forgetting Sarah Marshall. He's done a bunch of great comedies, and Tommy Boy is one of the best comedies of the 90s, for sure. Here's one of the best comedies of the 80s, 82 to be in fact, and Eddie Murphy's character name shares a surname with me, Valentine. Dan Aykroyd, Eddie Murphy, very funny comedy about, it's a very sharp social commentary about the rich and the poor, and how the rich kind of manipulate the poor and take advantage of and exploit them, and the age-old story that we don't really tell anymore because we've lost sight of how much the people in power actually exploit us for their gain. And John Landis directs the hell out of this. I always watch this around Christmas time because it takes place during that time and is almost kind of playing on a Christmas Carol-like themes, and great film. Dr. Dolittle and Daddy Daycare. Yeah, those were some good Eddie Murphy movies from late-stage Eddie Murphy or mid-stage Eddie Murphy movies. Here's, Would Never Work Now. Another film that would certainly never, ever, 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 did I mention ever, work now, is Tropic Thunder. A character in this movie puts on blackface and got nominated for an Academy Award, which is proof that I lived in a different era than we are living in now. And Robert Downey is phenomenal in this movie, and I believe that actors should be able to play whatever characters that they want to play, and it was definitely had a lot to say in terms of its social commentary here. Jack Black, Ben Stiller, oh my God, is this movie offensive, irreverent, and funny nonstop. Just throws everybody, every belief under the bus, and gives us one of the last great comedies from American cinema. We don't have what it takes to produce this movie as a culture anymore. That's what's sad. Got a 4K, interesting. Eddie Murphy is your favorite, or Trading Places is your favorite Eddie Murphy movie, Lucy. That's awesome. It is definitely one of his best. Another underrated Eddie Murphy movie is Distinguished Gentleman. Check that out from 1990. Uncle Buck, the John Candy classic, a heartwarming performance by John Candy, which is like balances the line between obnoxious and insufferable and absolutely charming, which is what John Candy did so damn well. Macaulay Culkin, John Hughes wrote and directed this one. This is probably my favorite John Hughes film. It just has well, actually, I take it back. My favorite is Planes, Trains, Automobiles, but Uncle Buck's a close second. Nobody makes me feel that sense of nostalgia like John Candy does, an actor who put it all on the screen and suffered greatly for it. Tell that to the judge. Here we have a fun little teen comedy called Waiting, about the mundanity of jobs that our generations find ourselves in. And fun cast, early Ryan Reynolds, teen comedy here with Anna Faris, who I always love to see Anna Faris, one of the great comedic actresses, for sure. All right, sorry about that, guys. Just had to take a quick sip. Here we have another Jake Kasdan classic. Jake Kasdan seems to have been subsumed by the streaming movie machine and did not produce a decent movie the last time he made one, which was Red One. But the Jumanji movies he did, I thought, were great. And Walk Hard is a fantastic parody movie about the history of rock and roll and even just American music in general. Absurdist, surrealist, dramatic at points. Great performance by John C. Reilly, this is a tour de force performance for him. Great and catchy music. You are the perfect wife. I have a perfect life. I don't know why I try. It's such a great movie with great writing and funny music. Waterboy. I love Waterboy. Definitely one of the great 90s classics by Adam Sandler. Another movie that can't be made today because they make fun of a specific class of people, I suppose, and that's no longer allowed in our society because we're so, I don't know what we are anymore. But The Waterboy is a great classic film. What can you say? The medulla oblongata. Boinkbot says, love ya, Cyborg. Oh, wow. Nice singing. Thank you. I was being goofy with my singing there. But yeah, I try. My father was a singer. Check out Earl Valentine on YouTube. He had a great voice. He's got some albums on YouTube. Wayne's World. Penelope Spheris directs this Michael Myers, Dana Carvey classic film about two airheads who get into all sorts of shenanigans. Anti-corporate movie that has some corporate marketing, but also anti-corporate. It's a fun movie, and the sequel, just as fun, in my opinion. Waiting for Guffman. Yeah, that's one I need to see. That's from the guy, Christopher Guest, right, who does all the classic Mighty Wind movies. I don't have any of his movies on Blu-ray. That's a shame. I have them on DVD, though. Guffman. Yes, I knew what you meant. Here we have We're the Millers, a pretty decent comedy with angry Will Poulter. He's always angry. He's just got that angry resting bitch face. And, yeah, a decent little, a really hot Jennifer Aniston, and a fun performance by Jason Sudeikis. So, not a bad comedy. I thought it was pretty good. Autocorrect, you imp. Yeah, autocorrect is the bane of my existence. I know what I'm trying to say, autocorrect. Don't impede my thinking process, please. Wedding Crashers. I remember this being a pretty fun dude comedy. Wedding Singer, one of the last Adam Sandler films I have yet to see. Can you believe that? From the crop of 90s films that are renowned as some of his best, my mother loved this film, which is ironic because I've never seen it. More of a romance, admittedly, with like musical numbers and stuff like that, but it probably retains a lot of the things that made Adam Sandler movies funny and stupid. Stupidly funny back in the day. So definitely need to watch this. And hey, it's Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore teaming up. For the first time, they would go on to do 50 First Dates, which I enjoy. So I'm sure I would enjoy that. Here's a classic comedy from a series that nobody remembers called Weekend at Bernie's, which follows two buffoons from New York who accidentally find the dead body of their boss, who was killed by some mob hitmen because he was in league with them. He was, in over his head with them and gets whacked. And then these two buffoons have to pretend like he's alive, and they carry him around, and they basically use him as a marionette, a puppet. It's very darkly humorous and very absurd in a very funny way. The sequel is even more offensive, and I love it. I wish it had a Blu-ray, but it doesn't. I still have it on DVD, and I grew up watching these movies with my dad. These are very my dad types of films, and yeah, hold up remarkably well. Very interesting comedic concept. In a time where we're bereft of those. When Harry Met Sally, one of the few straight rom-coms I have in my collection by Rob Reiner. I've heard excellent things about this. I hear it kind of transcends the rom-com genre. And when a film is said to have done that, I need to check it out and judge it for myself. And it's not that I don't like a good romance. It's just that most of the time I think they're schmaltzy and cheesy. So, all right, Jolly Good says he has a cartoon joke for us. IR Buffoon. Yeah, I remember that from IR Baboon. You haven't seen most of these, says Boink Bot. I love Young Frankenstein so much, I watch it at least twice a year. It's perfect. I agree with you. That is my favorite Mel Brooks film. And speaking of Mel Brooks, an actor who, Marty Feldman is in this, who was in the classic Young Frankenstein as Igor. Suit yourself, I'm easy. Werewolf, their castle. Suit yourself, I'm easy. Oh, I love that movie. It's so funny. Yellowbeard is a pirate comedy with a great cast. Marty Feldman, Peter Cook, Cheech and Chong, Peter Boyle, Graham Chapman, who I think I want to say... Yeah, Graham Chapman, one of the guys from Monty Python, actually writes the script for this one. And so, with that said, it's kind of an ancillary on the boundaries Monty Python classic or film here. And I'm sure it'll be fun. I need to check it out. Marty, Madeline, there you go. You know your comedy actors. A segment of Cow and Chicken was IR Baboon. That's exactly right, Jolly Good. Classic show. I think Seth MacFarlane actually worked on that. I think that was one of the early ones he worked on. And last but not least, but not great either, Seth Rogen, Elizabeth Banks in the comedy Zack and Miri. Used to be called Zack and Miri Made a Porno before we started censoring heavily in this country, and which is something I'm not in favor of. And Kevin Smith writes and directs this edgy comedy, edgy for the sake of edginess at points, but it still does have some moments that really push the boundaries and make you feel uncomfortable, which is what a good comedy is supposed to do after all. We've kind of forgotten that as a society. So Zack and Miri, not a bad film by Kevin Smith, but does mark sort of a turn for his career, I will say. Kind of the crossroads of his filmography. So that is going to do it for the comedies, guys. Lots of great films here. I've seen most of those, it seems. Only a few that I've yet to watch. Things that I'm savoring, as I say. And, creator, check it out. Oh, okay, David Feiss. I'll check that out. Boinkbot says, Land of the Free. Ha! Yeah, that was the lie we were sold for so long. But this isn't a political channel. I only throw in my 2 cents every once in a while. I appreciate all of you guys watching. I've noticed some new names active in the chat, like Boinkbot and a couple others, and I really, like John Knight, I appreciate you guys popping in and engaging in the conversation. It really makes these live streams super fun and makes time fly by for me, so I really appreciate you guys. And I'm going to do one call to action. Hit that thumbs up for me. I'd like to see that thumbs up crawl up a couple. Let's get it to 8. If we can get it to 10, I'll love you forever. If we can get it to 8, I'd be very happy. If you enjoyed this live stream and want to see more like it, I plan to do one on either Thursday or Friday. I'd love to see some thumbs up, folks. I thank you very much. That's how people can see my channel. And also, if you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed yet, feel free to do so. Hit the little bell for notifications, because I've noticed some people saying that they don't receive notifications when I go live. And you got to hit that little bell for notifications to give you a better chance at that happening. So with that said, last thing, Super Chats and my Patreon, patreon.com/theboredcyborg. I'm trying to get that rolling, and I have some cool tiers there, so feel free to donate or just join as a member if you want to support my channel and my endeavors here. I'm trying to build the channel and make this more a part of my life. So I appreciate you guys very much. I love you all. I don't see that thumbs up number going up, but I hope to see it on the rebound on the archive. It's okay. I appreciate you guys very much. Thank you for all the support. I will see you all very soon. Bored Cyborg is out. Peace.